Okay, and now we will take a look at how we can utilize rebase to break up commits. And why would we want to do that? In order to keep each commit atomic and the changes isolated, uh, we want to break things up. Most of the time, this is doable by using fix-up commits. But there are times as well when fix-up commits might make it a bit more tedious. Like, for example, you might have to actually use, say you in your third commit you have added something, but actually you want that addition to go into the fifth commit. All right, then you could, in order to move that, you could make a fix-up commit to the third one where you remove it, and then you make another fix-up commit to the fifth one where you add it back. That works, but could be a bit more tedious and not as straightforward to do so. And instead you could, and you would want to do that in the case that you have already created a pull request. Say you haven't yet created a pull request and you're still about to, you're just looking through your code, making sure that things are looking nice. At this point, then it's definitely worth what we're gonna do now, and I recommend it higher than if you haven't created a pull request, you should be rebasing and checking out those commits separately, break those out from that point in time, and then create separate commits that you can then merge into their into their correct commit that where you think that it should have been instead. Okay, so I'm again, as in my second video, I'm continuing on my Alejandro Amen branch, and we're doing a git log p just to see where we're at. Okay, so since master we created, we added a question, and we also added an answer. We updated the title to reflect the changes in the commit, and we added a commit in between just to showcase how we can work with fix-up and squash commits. Okay, now imagine that you're looking at this and you yourself think that, you know what, it doesn't make sense to add both a question and an answer in the same commit. It's too much. Now, of course, in this case, the example is very minimal, but again, imagine that you have way more logic that could be split up, but instead of shoving 1,000 lines of code into one commit, you can step by step, commit by commit, get to that end result, which again would make it much easier for the reviewer to reason about why certain things exist, how they got introduced, why are they needed. But in this much more isolated case, all we want to do is split out the question and answer into two commits. And actually plan to show you both ways now. Both ways. First, how we can do it with Rebase, which I recommend that you do if you haven't created a pull request yet. And then if you have created a pull request using fix-ups, how can you achieve the same thing? And highlight, even if you have a pull request open, you can still do the rebase, which will be the first example I will be showing. You can still do that, but then because you're rewriting the history, it would require you to force push, and any comments that the reviewer have added in the meantime, if the changes are too big, then Git will not be able to know to maintain those comments and where they should have been added, so they would just get lost into the void. So that's why you tend to want to wait with rebasing until you have an approve. But if you and the reviewer have already communicated and you both agree, okay, split this thing up, split this commit up into several commits or into 2 commits, then you're both aware that either you will be making fix-ups or you will be rebasing and splitting up from within. But at least communicate that, because otherwise if they continue to review your things and they might have put in 20 minutes looking at your code and prepared comments, and then suddenly you have rebased and those comments are gone, then you have another maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes to just get back. Okay, what did I write? Where was I looking? What was the issues or the comments about? So keep that in mind, that if you're rebasing on an already open PR, communicate when you will do so that the reviewer don't waste their time. Okay, with that said, finally, let's take a look. So git rebase I for interactive and no auto squash, because I have that set in my git config, which I rarely ever use, but that's why I add -- no auto squash. If you don't have that in your git config, you don't have to. -I is enough. Enter. So we looked already at S for squash and F for fix up. Okay. This time we were looking at E for edit. Use commit, but stop for amending. Now we're using the amending word here again. What does that mean? Edit. Right. It basically means that as Git picks the commits from top to bottom, imagine we have so many commits here, it's gonna read one commit at a time. All right, just like this. And if there's any conflicts in between, it will stop at the previous commit and say, hey, I tried to apply this one, but I failed. There's a conflict. Resolve it, please. So yeah, then you would have a conflict between these 2 commits, and you would have to resolve that manually, git add, and then rebase continue. And okay, the important part to take away from here is that it goes from top to bottom and picking them one by one. And when we change pick to edit, it's gonna stop at this one. It's gonna pick it, but it's gonna stop. It's gonna put us in this point in time. Note that we have 2 commits actually, but once we stop and check this one out, it's gonna look like we only have 1 commit because Git hasn't picked this one just yet. So change pick to edit and right quit. Stop at #, commit title. You can amend the commit now. They mentioned the same command, which is definitely something we could do, but that's not something we will be doing. Instead, looking at the git log and -p, since master, we only have 1 commit now, like I mentioned. And what we want to do here is that we want to bring back this commit. Take it back. I mentioned it twice before, but I will do it again. Git reset head caret brings back the most recent commit and takes those changes and puts those in our unstaged area. Okay, we have git status, we have hello modified, we do a git diff. There you go, we have our changes. Now there are 2 ways you can do it. You can have an IDE, and you can of course take away wrong. You can do vim hello, and you can remove that piece of sentence. You can do a git add hello, add question to hello file. Now note that I have to retype my my commit message. So there are ways to take back your commit message as well, like bring